Okay, and welcome to the latest edition of the Buy Around, everybody. We are joined by our most requested interviewee, none other than Josh Reynolds. Welcome to the Buy Around, Josh.
Thank you, James.
Great to have you here. A man who I instantly gravitated towards when I joined the Bulldogs. Just come back from England. It appears you have learnt nothing. So there's a bit of a thing in England about, doubling up on your teams. You've got an old Spurs shirt on and some Miami Dolphins shorts. Can you run me through the outfit choice today, please?
Well, look, mate, I've just before we touch on that, I've actually written into your Instagram about 400 times to get myself on the show. So it's probably me putting all the traffic through there. But to go back to your question, mate. Look, I'll be brutally honest. I haven't worn this in a very, very long time. And the only reason, I think you see me changing in the car, because I actually had another shirt. Uh-huh. So I just thought, for good old times, I would try and get under my mate's skin, just because I know you're a big Everton fan, mate. And I just, like you said, coming back from England, I know what it means to, people over there now. And yeah, I know Tottenham are going well at the moment too. So I thought might as well jump on with my Bale jersey.
Yeah. with the Dolphin shorts as well. That is that's a big no-no in England. That the like wearing different clubs, even from different sports, it's not allowed.
They are in the Pac-12 though, so.
Oh God, we're gonna Jesus Christ, we're gonna get into that a bit later. But before we go over your career, Josh, talk us through the current situation,
mate. So I'm literally about to start on Monday on a training trial with the Bulldogs. Mate, what that consists of, I guess, is just me trying to earn my spot in the top 30 squad there, and it's funny, mate. Like, I'm really nervous at the moment, and I'm not sure why, because I've done many pre-seasons. I don't think it's got to do with what's to come, because I know what's to come, but I think it's a fairly different predicament for myself. I'm going back to a club where I probably had I had my best times there, probably played my best footy there, but at the same time I've never probably come into a pre-season in this spot. I've always been fairly lucky enough to, I cemented a spot at the Bulldogs. I went over to the Tigers thinking I was going to play six and be a predominant player in there, 13. Same when I went over to England, I sort of went over there and, played six. But I sort of come into this one not knowing even if I'm going to be in the squad. So, yeah, it's been a weird sort of 2 weeks for me, mate, honestly. Like, I don't know if I've done enough, and, you get to that stage where I just want to start. So, mate, very excited, though, at the same time to be going back to Belmore.
So, why are you doing this? Like, what's the driving force to take up this training trial option?
James, it's just, mate, I finished in Hull not the way I wanted to. Obviously didn't get to finish up the season there. And to be completely honest, I had a really good think about it then and there. And I said to myself, I could be done. I'd gone over to England and it hadn't gone to plan. I'd had a couple of little offers over in England, but I sort of felt I was done there, mate, to be completely honest. And the only team I wanted to come back here was to have a crack was at the Bulldogs. And why? Mate, I just feel for myself, in 10 years' time, if there was an opportunity, if I'm at the pub in 10 years and I knew I had a chance to go back and play in that jersey, I'd be fuming filthy at myself that I didn't take it up. And, mate, it's been in the media that I messaged Gus off my own back and just said, like, I was fairly emotional at that time, to be honest, because I was like, it didn't finish well in Hull, and I just wanted to, I suppose, give it one last crack. And Gus said, just come and see me when you're back. And I just made it, for me, to be able to given the opportunity to be able to put that jersey on possibly is igniting my fire again. Because, yeah, I'll be completely honest, over there, it come to a cull, like, there was a lot of stuff going on at the club, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not here for that anymore. But it's just totally different, man. As you know, like, it was very special what, we had there as a team, and I feel for me even a bit more because, man, I grew up there. I'm living there now, and I'd just love to, I suppose, give back to the club in some way, and that's what I want to do.
So it's been clear last year the value in clubs getting experienced halves, right? So we saw it with Reynolds going up to Brisbane. He seemed to make a difference there. Townsend going to the Cowboys. He made a huge difference. What are your expectations for next season?
Look, I want to play, mate. I want to play every week. And it's hard for me to say where though, because I've spoken to Cam. I've obviously spoken to Gus. At the same time as me, mate, I'm backing myself, man. Like I have to, and I always have. Maybe my, where I'm thinking I might not get there, mate. But at the same time, I'm not going to change just because of circumstances have changed. I want to play every week, but then maybe I'll go in there, James, and I'll get a feel for how it's going to be, and who knows, mate? Who knows where I end up? I've told them I'll play anywhere. I honestly will. I'll fill a hole anywhere. I'll be around the boys throughout the whole preseason and just get a vibe, and hopefully, like you said, having that bit of experience, I can have tough conversations with with the coaching staff and whatnot, and what they think where I'm going to be at. But I love the fact of being able to go back there. I actually know a couple of young boys there. They're from my local junior club, and for me to be able to go back there and possibly help them get to where they want to be at the same time is a big thing for me too. It's playing is a massive thing for me, but at the same time, I'm not the the big dog anymore. And I love that though. Not saying that I was a big dog because you were always the big dog. Sorry about that. But I just think it's a really good opportunity, mate. And for me, James, and I don't know why I feel this, but I've always felt I have to give something back to that club. And people say, yeah, but you got a great offer from the Tigers, and the Bulldogs didn't give you a good offer. But at the same time, they give me my start and everything, and I was from there, and I take a lot of pride in that. I really do.
I know you do, mate, and I do feel you can offer something more than just what we see on the 80 minutes on the field in terms of your contribution. Assuming you get that chance. We saw it with Benji itself, where I think the impact of him being involved in that club will be seen for many years to come. He played that utility role off the bench. And, you speak to people about the impact that he had, especially on the young halves and some of the other players around him. Is that something that you spoke about looking to do as well? And do you think that even that attitude of I'm not going to die wondering here, that can rub off on some of those younger players as well?
Yeah, well, mate, I hope so. Yeah, and that would be a perfect scenario, because Benji had a massive impact on that team. And I think he went in with that same attitude of, mate, I'll play wherever. I think for me, it's quite the challenge, isn't it? Because if you're going to play that role, you've got to be willing to go anywhere. And so let's just say, in preseason, mate, I might have to be in really awkward and uncomfortable situations, but that's why I'm doing it. It's a bit of a challenge, man. I just want to, I think I want to go out knowing that as you said, I've given it my all. I really have. And I hope, some of the, we're having those tough days in preseason, and, I think I'm going to be 6 years older than the guy, but like second, but it doesn't. I just want the boys to be like, you know what, like it might not always be perfect. I'm not always going to be perfect. I'll have bad days like everyone else, but at the same time, it's when you're building something special, and I honestly feel I can help that. I can help build the club and the playing group in the right direction. And I'm not going to do anything extra or whatnot, but I just know myself as a person, I always try and put other people first, and I really hope that's a culture and I suppose team morals that we have, because as you know, mate, when you play for each other, there's nothing better.
Yeah, no, I admire what you're attempting to do, mate. I really do. Like, I think that attitude of like, I don't want to look back in years to come and wonder what if. Like, that's been something I've had to ask myself in the most crucial part of some really huge decisions in my career. Like, oh well, what if I'd have gone, or what if I'd have stayed? And that it probably the easy option for you would to just be, I'll finish. I'm going to just hang the boots up. This is a very difficult thing to do, and the fact that you're doing it on a training trial, it's not a 1 year contract on your minimum wage or whatever. This is like literally you're on a trial, like, and that I think will help you in your it'll keep you incredibly motivated.
Yeah,
it really will. But then you just spoke then about you're going to be the oldest by 6 years.
I think it's about right.
Yeah.
I've done a bit of research. Old Dr. Google.
Dr. Google. That wouldn't have been the case up until 2 weeks ago, where our mate Jacko retired. What are your thoughts on that? I was very, very surprised.
Mate, to be completely honest, Boobs, like it hurt me in a couple of ways, because, man, I spoke to Jacko coming back. He was one of the first guys I wanted to speak to, just to get a gauge on where he was at, and because I'm excited, like I really am. And mate, I played with Jacko. He was my back rower for years, mate. He looked after me, done all the shit stuff for me, mate. He was. If you know Jacko as you do, man, like you just know there's no bullshit. And I just love him for it. We've got a really good relationship, mate. Like I really cherish that. And when he did message me just before, to be honest, he said just before it all come out, and he said, mate, I'm not gonna sort of do it and whatnot. And made I felt a bit sick, because for one, I was like, man, what a career. But at the same time, I was happy for him. But then for me, I was like, man, like I'm not gonna be able to do it with him. I really wanted to. And this is, nothing on Jacko, mate. I'm so happy for him, mate, because he's put his body on the line for that club through the worst times, like better than anyone I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And never ever wanted any gratitude for it or whatnot. And mate, mind you, I don't think a lot of people know what he's left behind, cash wise. Mate, it's massive. No one will do that. A very small percentage of people would do that, mate. And we all know we do it for the love of the game, but it just shows how much the club means to him. And, mate, honestly, he sent me a message the other day, and, mate, I had a little moment in the car. It just made me tear up. He's like, mate, you're one of the first people that I would have wanted to have taken on the field with. And for him to say that to me, man, just made my day. So, to Jacko, mate, I love him. He's an absolute... If my son... Eventually, when I have one, is anything like him, mate, honestly, I'd love it. He's just a stand-up citizen with all the right morals, and he's perfect. He's a perfect captain.
I couldn't believe he was. Like it came from nowhere for me. Like when you consider what he's been through, and we all know like his contribution at like the best of times, but then during those tough moments, like you wouldn't want sympathy out there, but you kind of I felt for him. I'd see him out there, and you just like some of those games you're covering, you just be like, you just want to give him a massive cuddle and just say, mate, it's going to come good. And it does seem like the Dogs are on the up, and he's not going to be a part of the playing group, but it's I again, I guess it would have been a tough decision to wrestle with, and knowing him like we do, he would have thought about this a lot, and I think that's why the timing of it seems so strange, because he's probably had to stew over it for many months. Is this the right thing, the wrong thing? What do I do next? And like you say, one of the most selfless people you've ever come across in our sport. We come across a lot, but he's up at the very top.
Easy, mate.
Yeah. Anyway, next year, things don't go to plan with the training trial. What do you think you'll do,
mate? It's quite funny because I'm at right now. I've had a fair bit of time off, and I've been training a fair bit, obviously trying to get my body ready for pre-season. But at the same time, when I've got a bit of downtime, I'm actually always trying to look at avenues like that. And funnily enough, mate, like a few are popping up, and like in the sense of, mate, like, what are you thinking? You're really going to play? And it's actually like, it's funny. I bet you when I eventually do hang them up, everyone will be like, oh no, all the opportunities are gone now. You know what I mean? But to be honest, mate, like, I've always wanted to be a part of the Dogs, mate. And I've spoken to Aaron and Curry and John Curry about staying at the club. In what vicinity, mate? I'm not too sure, but I've just always thought it'd be a really good. I always think people when I love something, I'll always do my very best for it, and I love that club. So in some vicinity, I'd love to do that, mate. But if it's not meant to be, Are you thinking like a coaching capacity? Probably not, mate, to be honest. No. Not in the higher grades. Definitely not. It just doesn't really interest me, Boops. But at the same time, pathways for the younger kids and stuff, I enjoy that. I like when we were just talking about it before. We both helped Mick Ennis with a couple of a little academy he done, and I went to Queensland with those boys and watched them play those 3 games. And gee, the feeling I got after they won those 3 games, and I felt like I was their bigger brother, and I was just so proud. And mate, that feeling really made me feel good. I honestly did. Like, I didn't think I'd have that feeling. I was like, yep, went and would be great. But man, gee, I was proud of them. And so I feel that's really good, mate. It's really refreshing because young guys, they're raw, mate. Like they want to learn, and mate, I mean, for me too, I can have a muck around with them a lot. That's what Mick said. He said, because we know our mate Mickey's straight down the hay diddle sometimes, but yeah. So, but mate, yeah, I've got a couple of things that I really enjoy real estate, mate. I'm thinking about possibly doing that course with a mate that I know who owns a real estate agent. So yeah, to
sell real estate or developing. Yeah,
well, I do a bit of development now. Yeah, still, mate, still sort of doing that on the side, which is fun. I've always loved that. But yeah, on the side. But yeah, mate, I think it would fit. So yeah, but it's just a bit of a juggling act at the moment. But
what about media? Like, because a lot of people wouldn't know this, but you are across a lot of sports, like, to say the least. I don't think I've ever met a guy that is so entrenched in world sport up till all hours, watching the Pac-10 and the Big 12, college basketball. It's
on, mate.
It's like, well, yeah. Do you ever think about doing like a bit of a generalized sports media role? I know you've filled in a couple of times, and you're into your horses. You're always across the dogs at Morfortsville and all that sort of stuff.
The dogs. Where is Morfortsville?
I've no idea. I don't believe that town exists.
It does. If you paid any attention, mate, I actually raced on Melbourne Cup Day.
Oh,
in Morfortsville.
Morfortsville,
one of the Morfortsville in Adelaide. Just to let the viewers know, James asked me. I think I was having a bet on my phone in our room, or maybe on the TV, and he's like, "Where the hell is Morfortsville?"
You've got to admit, it is a bizarre sounding name, almost as good as Wagga Wagga. But anyway,
it's not as bad as Balaclava. There's a Balaclava air races.
Is that?
Yeah. Yeah,
that's right. That's daylight robbery.
Oh, but mate, yeah, no, I do. The big sports brekkie. I'm with them, And I think that does suit me, mate, because it's when I've gone in and done full shows, because I just do a little piece from every week. But when I've gone and done the full shows, all sport, I enjoy that. I actually get, I know this. I sound like a bit of a nerd, but I get excited to go home and look up like a 2020 cricket player that I don't know and ask him questions. No, but seriously, like that interests me, man.
Yeah.
Like you said, if I'm going to say there's something that interests me, I actually really love doing that. But at the same time, it's a hard world to get into. You know, everyone sort of wants to do it, and you know, you've got some big personalities like yourself taking over the whole media space. But I would enjoy that. Maybe one day I'll go over and do the college football or something. And
Australian correspondent.
Imagine that.
With college football.
That'd be awesome. So have you worked out what the Pac-12 is? Because you're used to.
I think it's just one of those college divisions or college championships.
No, it's the division. You got it.
Yeah. So I'm in the right ballpark. I like NRL, like Super League, like English Premier League, the Premier League.
I used to love when you used to like come in on a Monday, because I used to love the attire, as you know, and you'd get up on Google who won the Pac-12, and you'd say, "Oh, mate, what about Tennessee, Florida this week, mate? That pass," and you had absolutely no idea.
No, I didn't.
Though, mate.
It's hard for me to keep across the NRL. That's enough of a job within itself. I genuinely don't know how you do it. Is there any sports that you don't like?
I don't like. Mate, I'm not really into like the car racing and stuff.
Yeah, motorsport.
Yeah,
as a car goes by.
It's he's from Belmore. That boy.
What give it away? So yeah, yeah. So you're not into your motorsport?
Nah, but mate, then again, I'd love. Like Bathurst looks fun. I'd love to go there one time. Just, I think crowd wise, I'd fit in. Like I think it's a very exciting crowd, and I'd just go like to go and have a look one time.
Yeah. What about F1? Go up to Melbourne for the F1? No.
I wouldn't mind Monte Carlo, but yeah.
That's the type of circles that you run in.
I might go on your points, because mate, every time you're overseas, you're in that first class thing, and whatever you are, too good.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. You used to send me things on the plane all the time.
Josh, I've just come back from England, mate. I flew myself over, and it was normal.
No,
it was. I swear to God,
you're telling lies.
I'm not. I swear down. I paid for my own way there, and I was just in economy, just like everybody else. I'm a man of the people, mate.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that, but anyway, mate, it's all good.
Anyway, so going back to your time at the Dogs, coming through, you're from the area, but there's a famous photo of you in a Roosters jersey as a kid. Were you a fan of the Dogs and just on the Roosters bandwagon, or were you just sharing the love of sport like you do and supporting everybody?
Do you know what it was, mate? It was, so I used to love Freddie Fittler. He was just me man. He was I loved him, and I used to try and play like him, and it was hard because being in the Canterbury area, like I'd go to school, and this is where I got caught. I'd go to school and be like, yeah, Dogs, like big Bulldog supporter and this and that, and the ball, would talk. But then like I'd go home and I'd like be a massive Roosters supporter, and like my dad was used to threaten me to go, mate, I'm gonna tell everyone one day that you're a fraud. And but yeah, daunting, that photo. Jeez, Roosters, big earring, rock. I've actually, funnily enough, I got engaged on the weekend, and that's the same rock from my ear. So I just put on a ring. It's the exact same one.
Did you have a big rat's tail as well?
Yeah, yeah. You know, have you heard the story who cut that off?
No.
Corey Payne.
Really?
Yeah. We won the grand final, Reggie's grand final, and Payne's wanted a burial. So he chopped it off, and we buried it at Canterbury Pub in a little bit of grass.
Oh God! Yeah. I wonder if it's still there.
Probably could go dig it up.
Corey Payne, one of the all-time greats.
You got on him very well, didn't you?
Yeah, me and Payne. We were very, very good pals.
Thick as thieves.
Yeah, very good pals.
Good man.
One of the greats, mate. One of the most interesting characters within rugby league. Most diverse interests as well. Yeah.
I remember one day I was just cruising, and I think it wasn't long after he retired or something. All of a sudden, Corey Payne, Penrith's CEO.
Yeah, I know.
What?
Yeah.
But that's him. Like,
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't have surprised you if he was the CEO of Walmart one day, like in America.
Well, he's at Amazon now. Like,
well, there you go. But
yeah,
like something like ridiculous, you know? Like,
he's done a job at Woolworths.
Joe Bills.
Joe Bills, everything. Tell us about your debut coming through in the local area. How did that make you feel? I think sometimes you get caught up in your big achievements. You've gone on to have an incredibly successful career, but your debut game for the club that you grew up in, that must have been, you were a stone's throw away from the ground. Must have been pretty cool.
Oh man, like it was because my I suppose coming through as well, Boops, and this is no sob story. Like I didn't really like believe I was going to do it. To be honest, I love playing for Bulldogs. I had a fair few people saying, mate, like you'll be a great clubman and this and that. Pretty much saying, you'll be around for a while, but you might not crack it and whatever. And like when I remember when so Jimmy Dimmick, he gave me my debut, and it was actually to replace Mick because he'd hurt Mick had hurt his neck in the last end of the season, and Jimmy said to me, I was playing in the halves for Premier League, and he's like, mate, you want to play hooker? And I sort of said, oh, not really, Jimmy. Like, mate, tackling it in the middle, even though defending next to me in the middle is good.
I do know that, yes.
No, but yeah, but I thought he was just saying, like, do you want to try and transition into a hooker? But then he's like, mate, I want you to play this week. And I was like, mate, absolutely. Didn't even think twice.
Oh, right. So you've gone originally first, like,
yeah. I was sort of like,
you're thinking like
long term,
right, yeah.
Because he was a new coach and like interim coach, so I thought he might have been, like I was like, oh, maybe he's thinking about me for the future or whatever. But then he goes, you want to play hooker? And I was like, I always had that, I don't know what you call it, but around me of being a very versatile player.
Utility value.
Yeah, sorry. So I would never really nail it all, but when I was in the halves then, I was actually, for once, I sort of nailed it down, and I was like, yeah, I like it here. And then when he asked me that, I was like, oh, but then, yeah, it was to play first grade down in Canberra, mate, on a freezing cold Friday night. And, mate, I was so nervous, man, just because it's a different position. Canberra had a massive pack back then. They were massive, like...
They were like Shillington, Brett White,
Leroy Lars.
Oh, yuck.
Mate, and... in that cold, and I've honestly just said to myself, like, Jimmy's good too. He'd say, mate, get line speed and just do your best. And mate, was honestly, as much as I could, I was just trying to come out of the line and just hit people, and I was getting belted, but just for help, because mate, if
just hold them up, or like stop the momentum, because you don't want those guys getting. The more they advance, the harder it is.
Oh, mate. So it's a totally. And I didn't have long because the transition. I just had a week, but yeah, mate. Like how that whole week, mate. Like of just nerves, like proud, like sorting tickets for my family, and then having time to actually embrace it with them and just sort of pinch yourself. It's pretty surreal, and like to do it there, mate. Like where I feel. I just was home. It was very special, mate. It's like you said. It's probably not a memory that you always think of, is it? Well, I don't. Do you necessarily think? I don't really think of my first ever game. It's sort of because I actually gave away a penalty that lost us the game too, so which is rare for me.
Yeah, that is a rarity. I didn't up until I spoke to my old man and interviewed him, and for another podcast that I do, and. The other person that was interviewing him, she said, what's your proudest moment? And I'm thinking, oh, this could, and he said that it was me making my debut, and it sort of rattled me a bit. And I was like, oh, made me think about and probably a bit more significance on it, post career, but that's what you you know, not what you're ultimately striving for, but it's the first step on the professional journey, and probably what it means to everyone else around you. You know, you're saying there, like, a big gang from Belmore go down to Canberra. Like,
literally.
It's
Yeah.
like they wouldn't just do that for, in your second year of fair. Like, you get a couple of people go, but probably just what it means more to the people around you more than anything, and just that sense of like, your very first game, it is a big deal. Like, it's huge.
Do you know what I think as well, mate? Like, it's hard to recapture the feeling of how hard you work to get there, I reckon. Like, when I think about it, I'm like, man, I worked hard. But when you were doing it back then, mate, like, when I was like, plumbing all day, going to Gary Carden after it, honestly, but imagine that feeling right now. I tell you right now, I couldn't do it. Just mentally, I don't think I could do it.
Yeah.
Like, just because, like, man, he get you on the roll for 5K after you've honestly, like, it's just, I just don't think you appreciate it, like, what you've sort of done. And like you said, mate, it probably took your dad to pull you up and be like, how proud they were. It's nice, mate. It's a great memory.
Yeah. So Jimmy Dimmock that year is talking about, you coming into first grade, you played a couple of games that year, and then the 2012 season is upon us, and the gaff comes in. How was that for you as a young, inexperienced halfback? Because I think at the time there was yourself, Trent, Chris Keaton,
Romolo, like Joel.
Yeah, Joel was there. But like, how did you find that, and just how did you feel he changed the club? Because I came in, and for me, like, coming from the Super League to the NRL, I just thought it was normal, but it was anything but normal, was it?
Oh well, mate. It for me, and this is why I'll back him to the hills. He was the best thing that's ever happened to me in my career, Des. Like you said, there was Hocko and Crippy there, and they were the halves. They'd been brought from another club to fill that halves void, and I'd probably say I was not even probably third string. Like, Roms was there, so like I'd probably be fourth string. But Des come in. I remember the day he called us in. I think we were just doing, like, not reviews, but like, he just wanted to have a chat about what's going on. And he called me in and he goes, like, where do you think your best position is? And I said, because I said to you like before, I was playing in the halves. I was playing more halfback in Reggie's. And he goes, you're a 5'8". And I went, okay. Like, I just went, yeah. Like, yeah, whatever you think, mate, new coach and whatever. And it's just always sat in my head that when he said that. And then, mate, from that day on, like, I just, that just gave me some sort of confidence, mate, to just go after that. So I just done everything in my power to try and, I suppose, suit that mould. Because if he thought that and I was a chance of being his six, I wanted to give myself every opportunity. And I just think with what helped me as well was, obviously, mate, as you know, our training was ridiculous. But for me, I enjoyed that. I always loved competition. It was a bit of a running joke before Des come that. So because I was trained with first grade that at the back end in that preseason, the one before 2011, and 2010 actually, and I was like known as like the rabbit. So like in all the fitness stuff, like Harry Harris would go, they only brought you here to be the rabbit so everyone could chase like a greyhound. But I sort of took a bit of pride in that, mate. Like, yeah, all right, no worries.
I'm gonna win the conditioning.
Yeah.
Win the fitness, all those crazy drills that we used to do.
Yeah, or just go off and and because, mate, like, that's what I felt my edge was. So, and I think Des liked that, and mate, as you know, like we used to get into each other at training, and like, I just think what, the principles that Des brought, like, I just really tried to buy into them. And man, there was a couple of different ones, as you know, with a few different people that he brought in and whatnot. But mate, I actually, spoke to him recently with everything that happened, and I just let him know that, mate, you were my best ever coach and the best the best thing that ever happened to me in my career because I think he's awesome.
How did he become that guy? Like, what was his? What do you think the attribute of Des that stands out the most for you? Is it his attention to detail or work ethic? What is it that stands out for him?
Well, mate, yeah, like this isn't the main one, but work ethic, mate. Like he was ridiculous, second to none. Like a lot of. The coaches and stuff, they go in and whatever, and they're working while and it looks like they're working, but he'd come all the way from like Manly and be there at 4 or 5 in the morning, whatever it was, and be doing whatever, and always be the last one to leave, and never have holidays, and he'd have a little time, but like, so mate, I love that in him, but I think it was the way he spoke to me, like for some reason, like he just made me feel like, I was the best 5'8" in the comp, always. And mate, as you know, like in the videos, he tear us to shreds, the halves, because of some unknown reasons that the forwards would always throw us under the bus. But no, honestly, mate, like he'd pull me in after that and literally say, "You're all right." Just like little things, honestly, mate, he reminds me of my grandfather before he passed away. Like, he was my harshest critic, man. Like, freaking hell, like, I used to hate going to see him, but at the same time, you just knew he wanted what's best for you. So I always felt with Des, like, I could always even talk to him, and I felt I had that real good relationship with him, and I just feel he got the best out of me, mate.
Yeah. I think he did. He no doubt he pushed you. Well, he challenged us all. There were a couple of times in video there that I think. For those listeners that don't know that play that we used to do where the forward would run it in and hit the half out the back, there was more to it than just that. So if the halves wanted the ball, they'd have to call special. So in the video, it would see Des would say, well, why don't you get it here, Josh or Trent or Crippy or whoever was playing in the halves, and they'd sort of like shrug their shoulders, or sometimes Des would ask the forwards, and we just say, we couldn't hear special. Got to be louder, lads. Which would be, some of the looks that we get would be like, But obviously, watching the game from Eagle Cam is very different from being down on the ground, right? And sometimes it looks easy on that wide view, just throw the ball out the back, but. If the halves would have been a bit louder, maybe they'd have got the ball.
But see, this is the thing. Like, you'd see, like, I'd be going like this, and my hands like special. But for some reason, Des had his boys as well that he looked after. Couple of the older boys at that time, and Jimmy was definitely one of them, mate. And he couldn't do wrong. He couldn't do wrong, and like it was always our fault if they scored a try in the middle somehow. I'm not too sure. And then it was but
yeah.
But mate, didn't we like it's just mate? It was fun at the same time because like when I tell people stories about when Des used to pause training and we'd have to watch Christian Inu's jams on the big screen.
Oh God!
Like it's classic, mate. It's yelling off his going off his head. And then somehow, like, it'd come back to us, the halves, like, you should have been.
Yeah, you're not connected. You're not SDS. SDS. Shoulder to shoulder.
And I'd honestly get that revved up, man. I couldn't look at him some days, but it was fun. All in good fun.
It was good fun. Mate, one of your greatest qualities, I think, that you brought, Josh, was you were the glue of the squad. Like, if you look at the geographical location of those Bulldogs players at that time is spread out across Sydney, but you made it your mission. You were everywhere, mate. You were out west, you were out east, you'd be at North Carrying Bar if you needed to be. Like, you were just you made a point to bring us together, and you were not that there was divisions within the squad, but just naturally where you lived, you just hung out with those blokes. At that's one of, I think, Canterbury's toughest issues is the fact that your players do live all over Sydney. You look at teams like Penrith. Excuse me, most of the squad live, within a 20-minute drive of the stadium there, so that brings them naturally closer together. But you I thought, especially were, a big part of that. Is that something that came naturally to you, or is that something that you felt that you had to work on?
Yeah, no, Boops, like for me, it was whether it comes naturally or it's just the way I was brought up. I think I just feel, and I take that back. I used to think about if I can make an effort to go to, T-Rex's son's birthday out in, wherever it was, Wentworth Wheel, whatever. I just felt for us as a team, it could be good. And I know it's only me doing it, but at the same time, we were going that well, and I just thought little things like that would all add up. But I wasn't sitting there thinking about it, but I just...
You just did it.
Yeah, and for me, mate, I've always said it every time I ask, and, I probably will get asked it when I go into the Bulldogs. You sit down and everyone says, oh, what do you want to get out of this year and whatever. One of my biggest things is friendship, mate. And like, I just feel every time I've been going, at a club and I've been going enjoying training because of friendships is when I enjoy it the most. So yeah, I would make a little bit more of an effort just to do things and always try and get the boys to a spot, and because I just know, like you said, people's lives are full on, and I get that. But at the same time, if I could make it easy for everyone to get together, or like I could get to know like someone a bit better. Like I really enjoy that side of it, mate, and I always have, always will, and I think that's what I'll miss the most. It's just the friendships, the camaraderie you build, and it's a different friendship to a friend away from footy. It's very different. Like we probably don't see each other as much as we'd like to, but at the same time, like I see you and I feel like I can, rip you to shreds.
You just go back straight away, don't you?
Yeah,
like,
it is.
It's
it
like
is,
you
mate.
never, like with a lot of people, like you meet through football, you just bang back in that moment.
Yeah, mate. Boring you, mate.
No, so I flew back from England last night, and I'm sat in this chair, comfy, and the jet lag's getting me. My eyes are stinging, but there's no person I'd rather be sat. Especially the moment I'm about to bring up, because mate, we could talk about what we built as a team, where we got making 2 grand finals, but there's a moment that will stay with me forever, and it's in 2014, round 25, against the Gold Coast Titans, at 39 minutes and about 58 seconds into the second half. Can you just run us through what you were thinking during that moment? Because I'll tell you about what I was thinking after it.
I know what you were thinking after.
Because if obviously I recall this very specifically, but we're playing the Gold Coast Titans. We're already cemented our spot in the playoffs the following year. I think we're like 14-0 up. The hooter is counting down to the end of the first half. You run over. We've got the ball. You run over to the sideline, throw the ball out, and then run off into the changing rooms, right?
Correct, yeah.
So talk us through what you were thinking at this point.
So my thought process would have just been, because there was like a fumble or something behind the ruck, so I just picked it up, and there was about 3 seconds to go. So I've just run over to the sideline and just thought, I'll just run it out. Why not? And then but mind you, if you've got the footage, watch it. Before I threw the pass, my foot was out. So I was out. So the touchy stuffed up, mind you.
Okay.
So really, all I got to do is run it to touch, and it's the half time. But in saying that,
you've that we need to have an investigation. We need to check if you're. I want to check.
My foot was out.
Right.
You'll be able to see it. So really, done. But obviously, I used to get a bit. I think I was wrongfully bashed up by the refs sometimes, mate. And for no other reason, I was played the game in good spirit every time I took the field. But yeah. And I threw the ball back, and I remember running in thinking, how good was that? And Jimmy Dimmick's going, get back out there. Get back out there. It's a penalty. I was like, penalty? What for?
Are you in the change rooms?
I'm in the change room, yeah. I'll go. I'm in there, mate. I'm asking for Gatorades. I'm asking for electrolyte, mate. Jimmy goes, get back out there. It's a penalty, you idiot. And then, mate, I go, what? And I come back out and I see the ref and they...
Play was play going...
No, was it a penalty?
Yeah, it was a penalty for a deliberate forward pass.
And then so they kicked for I think he kicked for his winger.
No, mate, I'll tell you what happened. They tapped it.
Ah, right.
Oh, no, they kicked it downfield, so they were right on our try line. They tapped it. They kicked to one side of the field, back. Then they kicked to the other side of the field. We're all in scramble. I remember just being like, this is insane. We were scrambling for our life. It was like the longest ever last play of the game. Because
I ran I ran across because I was right edge and ran all the way, obviously into the shed to left, but I had to run all the way back. I ran all the way to the right edge to chase it.
I didn't know you made it back.
Yeah, I come back, mate. I was like a headless chook. Imagine me at the embarrassment of the feeling of it's a penalty. I was like, no way.
I didn't know you came back.
I'm trying to talk to the ref, going, you're an idiot. It was out. And then, mate, I remember, so let's just say we're walking off the field and I was at the back and you boys are to the right. I remember just looking to the left the whole time, not trying to get any eye contact with anyone. I remember someone said something to me. I think Jacko, funnily enough, Jacko has done a thing for the NRL and that's his favourite Bulldogs moment.
Mate, I think it'd be up there. I agree.
If you look
that epitomises just the carnage. It epitomises you. It epitomises that group, that squad. Just
if you look on YouTube right now, I'm pretty sure it's like if you type in my name, it's like Josh Reynolds brain fart.
Oh God! But we had you back, so we were willing to scramble for you.
Yeah. That's why I loved you, mate. That's why I loved you.
Oh God! I think we actually lost that game as well, didn't we?
Yeah, they come back, and I think it wasn't good. It wasn't because of that though.
My head was off after that game, but I think we needed that to go on that run, didn't we?
Yeah.
Remember, I think
is that when we went
down to Melbourne the week after? No one gave us a cat in hell's chance.
On fire.
Yeah.
Timmy Laugh.
That was the springboard to the 2014 grand final. But I think if it wasn't for that awful loss in the Goldie, I don't think
it was awful, mate.
It was.
They kick a field goal or something to win
I think they were
golden or a goal, yeah. Yeah, it wasn't good. So imagine my head after that as well.
Yeah, heads wear off. Well, we come together I think the Tuesday, and it was right, we're on.
That sitting video. Sorry, boy.
Yeah. I think that's that maybe. I can't recall exactly, but that was maybe what it was like sort of put light on this, a bit of laughter around the situation.
Yeah.
We've had this really shitty end of the season game, last game of the season.
Oh, I think it was for Frankie or something, mate. He said to me, doggo, come on, you can't do that, man. But that was sort of, yeah. Even though, mate, that was a disgraceful play. But I knew there was no one really after me. Well, no one said it anyway. Any of the boys.
I'm just glad they didn't score.
Oh,
yeah.
Could have been the last time of all the six at the Dogs.
Hey, 2014, you and Trent are the halves combination for New South Wales, and you finally break the drought and the famous Queensland streak. Can you talk to us about that group and just how much that meant to you to be a part of that team that finally broke it? Because New South Wales were just under the cosh for so many years, and then they put in there was yourself and Trent, and probably a little bit unfancied, from an outsider's
from
an outsider's point of view, and not everyone at the Dogs backed you all the way. But yeah, can you talk to us a little bit about that experience in that series?
Yeah, mate, it was because I got lucky enough to play in Origin the year before, and it was obviously a different circumstance though. I was utility coming off the bench, and mate, that in itself, it's every boy's dream, right? To put on that blue jersey and mate, it was, to be completely honest with you, Booper, I never felt I belonged in that arena. Just because, like, when I used to watch Origin and that, mate, like, it was the best of the best. And I'm happily to admit I was never the best of the best, mate, of anything. But at the same time, you know, like, I'm proud that, you know, my effort and stuff got me there and whatever. But when I actually got put into the halves that next year with Hocko, it was daunting, mate. It was daunting. Like, first of all, to, you know, be in the halves for the Blues, because there's always a lot of scrutiny around that position, and you know, Pierce had been there for many years and just didn't come up against that Queensland team, mate. Like, look at him. Like,
and you're going to be the scapegoat as well. If you
know
lose, it's like, put it on the 7.
100%, yeah.
So, 7 and 6, yeah.
But it's just like, and it was very hard for me and Hocko going into that camp, because, like you said, mate, even though you say you don't listen to the external pressure, you know it's there.
You're aware of it.
You know it's there. Yeah. And, mate, we go from a coach of Des Hasler, who does everything for you. Like, in our meetings, he does all the talking, he does every play, all the set move, he does everything, right?
All the structure was designed by Des. Yeah.
And he was the one who projected. Whereas in a lot of teams, the halves get up and talk a lot of the time, and you know, because they're the generals. But so we got to camp, and Laurie's like, I need you boys to run the sessions, pretty much. And me and Hocko, I remember just saying, like really, like, we're not used to this one bit, like, you know. So it was so far out of our comfort zone. And then, mind you, we had to tell guys like, you know, Lukey Lewis, Gow, Hainsey, guys that are like Haynes was at the pinnacle. He was flying. So it's hard. It is hard being, like, you know, a young half coming in, try to tell them and dominate them But, mate, like, if you look at, you know, I've spoken to a few of the boys who play. If you look at the lineups, mate, like, they should have absolutely smashed us and won it again, because that team was just ridiculous. But, mate, we just had guys in there like Birdie and stuff, and they just effort, mate. I honestly think that's how we won it. It wasn't the smarts, and we didn't outsmart them, mate, because you can't outsmart Cameron Smith and Jonathan Thurston, right? So
you think you just hadn't, that group had just had enough and was sick of it, and they just thought, well, we'll just beat them on effort.
Well, I think
that's maybe why they bought in you and Hocko, because you know that you just wouldn't give up, you wouldn't stop trying. Like, that's why you were successful in breaking that drought.
Yo, mate, I can nearly not guarantee it, but I know it because we started using our shape from Bulldogs. So they did. They got us in there, and they want us to feel like a bit comfortable, like playing through the forwards and stuff. And I remember, like, the guy, like, they weren't used to it, because we do it all the time.
Yeah,
it was your bread and butter. We done it at Bulldogs all the time. So for me and Hocko, we're like, this is great. But yeah, I could just tell. But yeah, mate, it was more just like, and Hainsey was unstoppable, like, in that Origin series. Like, and I'll never go past that. But at the same time, like, there's a few moments in those games where, yeah, I reckon you're right, mate. Guys that have been in that team for a long time just had enough, you know. And they used to tell me, like, never, like, Farah, like, I just remember saying me, like, never back down from any of them. And, like, the way I used to play and stuff, I was like, you know what? If they want me to do that, that's my role. I'll do that then. And it sounds stupid, because, like, what are people like? Well, that's stupid. Footy's not about that. But sometimes in that arena, like, I think it is.
Football's a lot of different things, and it's about getting the result. And
yeah, it is,
you
mate.
did.
Yeah, well,
like, it doesn't really matter how pretty it was.
No,
and it just hanging in there, gutsing it out, like, literally gutsing it through.
And mate, like, it's funny. Like, I always have a laugh with, like, my family about this. Like, I think in Thurston's book it says something about, like, that was the worst anyone's ever got under my skin. Like, and, like, for me, like, people were like, oh yeah, that grub. But, like, for me, I'm like, yeah, I'm in Thurston's book.
Well, you would.
Yeah, but like, I know, but that's just, yeah, it's not that, like, you know, like, people used to come out and say it's so disrespectful. I probably have the more respect for any of them guys, because they do it constantly. And off the field, I'll shake their hands and, mate, have a normal chat to them like I do anyone else. And, mate, but on the field, like, it was just, I think that's what it was, mate. We just, what for? Like, we just, they're just going to keep winning and winning and winning and winning. Like, it had to sort of stop. And, yeah, it wasn't the most methodical way of doing it. But, yeah, mate, it's one of my greatest moments, mate. I loved it. Absolutely loved it, man. So proud of being able to represent that Blues jersey.
Yeah. Can you tell us what you did to get under Thurston's skin? Were you like verbals or?
Look, not really, mate. How can I verbal him? Like, obviously a little bit, like
just physical, like just a few,
mate. Like kick pressure and stuff, and because in Origin, like they let you kick pressure more, and you're allowed to hit him a bit later, and like just little things like that, and like when they're like on the floor, but mind you, like mate, they give it back. Of course, that like like they were into because mate they knew they were good. Of course they did. So like I think that was a bit of a thing of theirs. They'd be like, these guys know that we're that good. But yeah, mate, I don't think there was an exact moment. There was like, mate, he got me. I just remember he had me on the floor, and he sort of was giving me a bit of a, I think an elbow to the face, and mind you, I think I'd done something to Gillette the tackle before, so it was a bit of retaliation. But yeah, like I just was. And it was done then, Boots. Like, it was done. We'd won it. And, mate, I just remember it, like, I think I said, like, it's over. It's over, something like that. And, mate, like, I look at it now, and I'm like, in my head, I'm going, I think now, I'm like, mate, you're an embarrassment. Like, what do you, as if he cares. What about 10 in a row? But, like, that's just how, like, into it I was, mate. Like, I'd done some stupid things on the footy field because of my emotions. They get the best of me a lot of the time. They do, mate. That's just how I play, but I can look back at it and hopefully like they can too, and have a bit of a laugh about it when we're a bit older and done.
No, mate, I mean, I think it's great. I love what I was incredibly proud of both you and Trent and the other Bulldogs players there, but especially you and Trent. I could see how much it meant to you both, and when Hocko showed that little show and go, and
mate,
I can only imagine what it was like to be a part of. Well, it was history, wasn't it?
Yeah, and mate, especially do it with him, man. Like being his half, being like his good mate, like it just gave me shivers. Then, like, man, you never get to do that. The more I'm so glad that I can see. That's why I enjoy doing these things, because I don't really ever think about it, mate. It's weird, like I'm thinking about this year and what's going to happen after, but like it's nice to sit here and reminisce, mate. Yeah. Reminisce.
It is, Matt. When that decision to leave Canterbury and go to the Tigers, you said it made you feel sick. I can remember your emotional address to the group at Belmore. Did you feel like you had to leave?
It was a tough time at the club, Boops. I'll be completely honest. Like, I was getting mixed messages from a few different people. So it was very hard for me to know what was best for myself.
Because there was a lot of rumours the club were in for foreign as well. Wasn't
and there was always
in the same position as you, and
there's always a rumour someone big's going to the Dogs. That's what I realised. If you're playing in the halves, the boys there now, there's always going to be someone coming to the club.
Yeah.
But no, that's a thing that you've had to deal with. But yeah, I asked around and I'd heard a bit of good mail that it was going to happen, and I suppose a bit of pride comes in then too, Boops. Like, I feel, I was still playing pretty good footy there, and I was nowhere near. If I did stay, I could have. Who knows? But could have got better. Not got worse. But yeah, I feel, I'll be brutally honest, I feel they wanted me to go. I did. And, a few things showed that. And I definitely tried my very best to stay. And I think looking, down the track now, in my heart, I feel I made the wrong decision. But for my future, I made the right decision. Because,
and I wouldn't betray your former self too much, mate. Like, I think, in that moment, at that time, it was the right decision. all things assessed, it's easy to look back and say, oh, you do things differently, but I know the type of pressures that go on, and also that feeling of being like, well, I kind of feel like I'm not wanted here. And then someone shows you a lot of love. You're like, well, I'm going to go where I feel appreciated, wanted.
Yep.
You know, what one party is like desperate to get me over, and then the other party is sort of like, yeah, like you say, giving mixed messages. We're only human. Like, you know, you're not
mate.
that robot of like,
I hate thinking about it, man. But at the same time, mate, like, I question myself so much because I'm massive on, like, you know, loyalty and stuff. And, you know, I always had that thing that in my head that I wanted to be a one club man and a local junior. And, like, I always had that in my head. So for me, mate, it was hard just in that. I always question myself, mate. Like, you sort of called myself a bit of a fraud, to be honest. I was a bit hard on myself when I left. I was, man. Like, excited. And I had to act excited to be going to the Tigers, you know, because, yeah, like it was, and I was excited for the new challenge, but it was so hard, mate. I just feel like I was ripping out my own DNA. Like I did. It was just,
wow.
Yeah, it was, mate. It was a really hard feeling. And but like you said, at the same time, it's not really nice not to be wanted, mate. Like, it's not. And back then, I didn't get the big bad game of NRL. I thought there was still good about it. I really did. Yeah, and it's quite sad because it's changed a lot. But hey, man, I'm sitting here today, and you know I get the chance to go back there, so I'll try and make up for that.
Yeah, I mean when you did get to the Tigers, you had a lot of injury concerns, but you were coached by two great coaches in Cleary, and then Madge as well. How do you assess your time there?
Oh, terrible. Like, just, it was hard, mate, because that was when my injuries started piling up, and going somewhere on a big contract and you're not producing just makes the pressure gauge 10 times worse. And I suppose what I hated was I didn't necessarily care what people said about the way I played and stuff, because funnily enough, like, I actually, when I played, I think I went okay for the Tigers. Yeah, like, but at the same time, when they were questioning my integrity as a person, and they just said, oh, like, he's there for the money and stuff, that's what hurts me. And I don't care what anyone says, like, about, everyone can have their opinion as they do, but I don't like when people say that. Like, I went there with all good intentions, I really did, and I wanted to buy in, and I did, brought into everything. And mate, first game I go to play, I do my hemi in captain's run. My first game at the Tigers. Like, then I was out for 6 weeks. Then I was on the back foot straight away. And then enter a man named Benji Marshall, who just decided to start finding some unbelievable form and trying to, yeah, mate, it was tough boots, I'll be honest. I a lot of heaps. That's where I had my most probably self-doubt my whole career, I reckon. Sort of settling in there, and but everyone always just say, yeah, but who cares? You're on good money. People do not. I hate when people say that.
Yeah, it's never about that. It's never about that. And that, mate, inside that athlete psyche of, yeah, you're all about the team, but you get injured, and then you're watching someone else in your position. Nah,
it's crazy, mate. Honestly, and
like, you just take this money away from it. Like, I'm not interested.
It's funny.
Like, it doesn't make you feel any better. In fact, it probably makes it makes you feel worse.
Oh, it does.
Because people are.
You don't feel like you deserve it.
No,
I didn't. Like, and that's the thing. But then, it's funny. You feel like going and saying, "Well, yeah, take some back," and I don't care. I'll still play, but I just don't. But don't give me those eyes. Don't give me those eyes of and yeah. But it's just some silly people don't get that, mate. And yeah, but then again, like, I've seen you see people, like, I have met people who do go to clubs and not asked. So I do see where the fans just, like, get that from. But at the same time, like, when I know the person I am, and I feel you're very similar, mate. We love the game, mate. Like, we put everything out there. But when someone says, like, he's here just for that killed me, mate.
Yeah, I bet it did. bet it did. One of the questions I was going to ask is, would you do anything differently at the Tigers if you had the chance? Like, is there anything different you could have done, or
Probably not fell off a scooter in Bali.
yeah, that'd be a good place to start.
It's not funny, but
Yeah,
that's how it made all started. Like, before I even started at the Tigers, I went on a trip to Bali and fell over the top of a scooter and broke my scapula. Before I had even started, imagine that conversation over the ring Ivan and tell him that. And mate, like, had to get a plate put in there, and all preseason couldn't really get hit. Like, so yeah, probably that. But in everything else, mate, no, because I tried, mate. I did. I really did. Like, I wasn't. Every injury I got, I was good with it. I tried my best. Probably just, a few better decisions, like recovery-wise and rehab-wise, just a little bit.
yeah.
Because, like, you
Beautiful hindsight, though.
it
isn't
is, mate. While you're there and you're in it, like, once you get injury after injury, sometimes, man, it's a bloody dark place sometimes, and I always I'd always try and be positive out of it, because I'm like, well, mate, you're still going all right. You still can get your chance. But yeah, there's some days in there where you just go, geez.
What was it like for you when Madge came in? Obviously, you've been under Des. A lot of people compare Madge with Des, very similar work ethics and training styles. Did you feel he give you enough of a chance?
Well, what Madge come in and said was like, look, boys, it's a clean slate now. In the fact of, so it was obviously myself, Brooksy, Benji at that time. Moses, who was, he come in the year after, they signed him at fullback, but, he can float anywhere. And then later on, Dewey comes. So, like, when I say clean slate, he was like, I don't care who signed you or what. It's on. And in that period, I got an injury at the sort of start of when Madge come, and like I said before, Benji just was on fire. And it's quite funny. Like, obviously, everyone in the media, they always. I think I said something once of like, oh, I'd love to get the opportunity, like when I come back from injury. Not saying like I should have just walked straight back into the team, but I said something. Then they're like, oh, Madge not giving Reynolds a chance. Like, so everyone always thought there was this rift between us, but we were okay. We had some like really tough conversations. That's some manly like, I liked it. That was the one thing I'll give to it. We always put everything on the floor, but at the same time, like, Madge just didn't at that time think I was the right man for the 6 job. And mate, I'd left the club I loved to come there and play 6, not play like 14 off the bench. It's totally different, mate. And especially at that time in my career where I don't want to be going down. Like, I want to be going up. And that's, for me, that was going down. And just, mate, every time I'd come in and I'd get a go at 6, I feel I'd go fairly well. Something else would happen. I was just always on the back foot. And it's not a sob story. I'm just telling you how it was, mate. Like, that's just how my career at the Tigers went. And, I had a lot of good people. The one good thing is, mate, I met some really good people out of there who helped me and knew, like, what I was about. I don't like that. And so, like, from that whole experience, I take that, a few of the core people in there knew what I was there for, and I wasn't just taking the piss.
I want to bring something up now that I don't know if you want to talk too much about, and please feel free to stop or say as much or as little as you want. And I know you've moved on and you're in an incredibly happy place right now and recently engaged. But off the field, it was, played out in public. You fell victim to an evil con artist, and that's putting it lightly. An evil con artist. and you were portrayed as the bad guy. How do you remain sane when this is being played out in the public arena?
Oh, mate. Yeah, I can't really go too much into it, Boops, but I suppose what I want to talk about out of all this was a major reason of why I think it was all happening at the Tigers, because, geez, man, like some of the things that I was doing is just not inhumane, mate. Like, I was getting calls. Man, I'd just leave training. Just leave. Because, mate, like, yeah, that was more important to me at that time. And that's what killed me about what people were saying. Because, like, I like to hold myself, like, to be a good person. And when someone's calling you and telling you this type of stuff, mate, like, football's only a game, man. So, mate, I don't necessarily understand why. It's a time of my life where I'd like to help other people, not happen to other people, because these type of people shouldn't be allowed to be around. Like, it's so hard on me. It was so hard on me mentally that I was breaking down physically. And I honestly believe that. That's what it was. I think when you've got stress elsewhere, it's so hard on your body. I really do, mate. But it's I don't even know, like, where to even begin to say how I got through it, mate. Like, and that's not even because I feel I've got really good, like, gratitude in the fact of, man, there's some things going on in people's lives that are way, way worse. And I know some people will say, yeah, but I'm really good at that. That's one thing I'm really, really good at. And I didn't want that silly moment in my life to ruin me as a person. And as you said, I'm happy now. And that's all. I win out of all that. Like, I really do, because I've got a beautiful fiance now. I'm going to have kids one day with her. So that's, I'm very happy, mate, in myself that I got to I got through that, man. Like, and I always draw from it, mate. I do, because, like, people always say to me, like, man, like, how did you keep turning up? And I wear it on my sleeve, mate. I just did. I don't know how. I can't tell you. There's no certain way of doing it, but I just know, yeah, I look back and say, man, if you could go through that, I can feel I can get through a lot, and I'll be right, mate.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you managed to come through that, find happiness and trust again. Because I can only imagine what was going on through your head, even when things got put to bed. Like, and you were back playing. It must. I can't imagine what your thought on just society was. Just,
you know what I find, mate, and that's a big thing out of it. Was like, everyone loves to put the slipper in. Like, mate, I got. And this is the thing that hurts me the most, man. Like, I got portrayed as a woman basher. And for me, that's one of the biggest, lowest things you can do in life. And I've seen it before. To be touted as that, mate, was the lowest moment ever. Because I knew it was so far from the truth. But, like, there's always people out there that, no matter what, you're guilty. And it's something I have to live with my whole life. But at the same time, I remember there was charities and people, and look, you know what, I can't be angry at them, but man, like I got stripped of everything, mate. Like, and that's what hurt me the most. Just like being touted as that, mate. Like I was the biggest advocate for the opposite side, and
because you do a lot for the community as well, don't you?
yeah, mate. Especially that. Like, I love my mum, man, and to see her like being set at her work, like people saying stuff to her was the biggest embarrassment of my life, even though I didn't do anything. So yeah, you learn a lot about people during tough times, mate. And when she walked into that courtroom with me that day, holding me, like it's just there's some people who will always be there for you, man. And there'll be some people that'll come after you no matter what, you know. Like hence the, you know, some of the media people, and yeah, I'll never forget that. Both sides.
Good. Like I say, I'm incredibly happy that you've put that to bed, but you've learned from it and that you've managed to find happiness. I'm stoked for you.
Thanks,
really am. Congratulations.
Appreciate it, mate.
Something else I'm incredibly happy about is that you got to experience life in England. Talk to me about Josh Reynolds in the north of England. I didn't get to see you over there, but just talk to me about. Tell me about where, because you first I think you landed as I was leaving,
literally
in the January of 2020 in full national lockdown. You rock up
the first day. You full lockdown the first day.
So you rock up Manchester Airport.
Yep. And then the whole social media team said, "Hey mate, do you mind doing a post? Big news today. Full lockdown of the whole of England." I went, and they're like, "Can you put a positive spin on it?" And I'm like, "Hold on, what are we talking? Full lockdown?" And they're like, "Yeah, the club will talk to you, blah blah." So mate, I had to do a thing. "Hey guys, landed in Manchester, very excited. Sorry to hear about the lockdown." Look, I didn't know what to say, man. Like, but then found out like we literally were only allowed to go to training for an hour or 2 hours and come home straight, and that's it. In lovely bloody Hull.
Well, mate, I can remember you doing your signing for Hull video on your balcony, and in the background you've got the Harbour Bridge and the Opera House, and I was a bit like, "Josh, no, you have picked the wrong background there, brother. At least turn the camera around just inside." I was like, Hull, great people, like salt of the earth people, but very different environment. What was it like just when because landing in January is tough anyway, but being in lockdown, like January is a tough month. Christmas is done. Everyone has a good time over Christmas. January comes and it's the bleak midwinter.
I was just thinking we should get Scott Taylor on the phone call.
Mate, he's coming up next, actually.
Mate, honestly, I'll be honest here, Boobs. Because you get there and I'm very excited. Lockdown, mate, what's going like? But I was all right at the start because I was like excited, and every time I was going to train, it was something different. And I'd come from the Tigers, and it didn't end well, and I left, or whatever. And then, mate, I'm going there. I'm like, new club, fresh start, all the boys, mate. Got in there, different banter. I'm like, mate, this is going to be good. It's going to be good. And then just. Yeah, the cold, it was freezing. Like, I was staying in a little apartment right in the middle of Hull too, like, interesting people. Some very interesting people right in the centre of Hull. And, mate, just, I didn't know what to expect, mate. But that, like you said, in January, like, we used to complain about, you used to, not us, about doing field when I don't know, it's a certain degrees. I don't know, but like it's all right. But it was you because you like, but You literally walk onto training and it's ice. And I thought, oh, mate, can call it off here. Nah. Nah.
Nope.
Mate, Gaz Ellis is, we got wrestled today on the gravel. So, mate, it was a very, very interesting time at the start just because of the COVID. But gee, I brought into the culture. Absolutely brought into the culture. When we were allowed to start slowly opening up and you know, things started opening, I enjoyed it, mate. Do you know what I felt? It was just a lot of people like you. No, honestly, I love you. Like, do you know what I mean? We've spoken about it before. It's different banter. It's different. Everything's different. Like, what's an example?
It's similar, but it's it's similar, but it's so different.
Like
at the
little
same
things like
yeah. It's those little differences.
Guys having tea at training, like cups of tea, and you always used to do that, but no one else would because it's like, you know. But then, and then I just like, what would I do? Like something that's Australian, like, I don't know, the clothes I'd wear. Gee, they were into me style. Because, like, I'd wear, like, chinos and that. And they're like,
no. Oh, you don't wear chinos to training? No way.
No, but anywhere.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like,
They'd
be like, mate.
Chinos. Like, hey, Chino.
Or, like, full kit wanker. Like, things like that.
Yes.
Like
I imagine you.
Yeah.
Yes. You, like, mate.
Yeah, but I'd say to the boys, like, mate, we're at training. Like, I got guys in the middle like that, like Jake Connor, like looking good. I'm like, mate, relax. Why do you have to look good all the time? Mate, they go to these shops and buy a jacket for 800 quid. I'm like, how can you afford that? You can't. So, but then like they'd be into me for wearing, like Nike socks with Adidas shoes.
Yeah. Well, mate, you'd rock up in your basketball singlet as well. They'd be off that.
Yeah, mate. I enjoyed all that. Like, mate, I always used to be like, I'm James Graham now. So when you come to the Dogs, mate, everyone used to be into you, mucking around into you, and we'd be like, and you'd be like, yeah, whatever, mate.
Yeah.
But like, I was the James Graham at Hull, like. Just some of the things, like, they just couldn't believe it. Like, there's some of the things. I'm trying to remember, and I'll slowly try and think of, like, just little things that, you know, like, they all, like, where you live. Because I, like, you know, I lived in a nice-ish area. Are you rich? Well, no, I'm not. Not at all. Like, it's just, like, I just want to be a bit away, and I don't know, mate. They're just...
What about that? We spoke about that before, where... You know, you come from a big city of Sydney where, you know, an hour in traffic is, or an hour drive somewhere. So say you at Belmore, you come and see me over in the Shire. It'd be like, yeah, no worries.
No.
Like, because you used to live in one part of town.
Yep.
And you'd invite lads over, 20 minutes away? And they'd be like,
if that. I'm not going there, mate. Like Jamie Shaw, perfect example. He lives in, like, East Hull. And if I said to come over to West Hull, no way. Like I said, but mate, it's 20 minutes. And he'd be like, don't care. It's too far.
Too far.
Yeah, but it's just like anything, like even, like Denny, like they never go on hot, like never come, no, I'm not going there, too far. Mate, it's 2 hours away. It's not far. Get out of Hull. They're in Hull. They want to stay in there.
Mate, a lot of people have like never have been to London other than to play.
Yeah, I'd been to more cities in England than nearly the whole team. Because I was doing it, like, on the weekends off. I was going to Liverpool. I was going everywhere. Like, and they're like, why do you do that? I said, well, to get out of this joint.
Well, I can remember being the same, like, probably living in that bubble of Liverpool and St. Helens. And, like, you get lads coming over and be like, just off to London for a couple, like, you know, basically a day and a half. All that way, like, yeah, and then or like, you know, they get 2 days off and they go to Barcelona. Have you ever been? Be like, no. But why not? It's only 2 hours away. And you're like, exactly, yeah,
or Tenerife,
yeah. But you go, that's a big holiday. But the idea of like a city break, it's just completely foreign.
It's just, I used to honestly like, what are you doing this weekend? Nah, just chill out. Go to the pub maybe. Come on, man. Get out there. What is that? What
Yeah,
is it?
mate, you know what? I think because it's always there, you sort of take it for granted.
Yeah.
And maybe you think you'll do it when you're older. But like now I go back and I'm like, oh, wow, it's like amazing. Like, you know, you got Amsterdam from Liverpool, Manchester's like a 45-minute flight. You're like,
even like Liverpool, mate, like loved it. Like what a city, like.
Yeah, you just go for like a weekend or a night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. That's what I mean. That's the one thing, you know, I really enjoyed about going over there was, you know, and all that. Like I didn't hold back. I nearly went away every weekend if I could. Like the ones, because obviously the comp's a bit different over there. You do get with the Challenge Cup and stuff. You get like weekends off if you're not playing and stuff. So yeah, I definitely made the most of that. It was good.
I bet you did, Josh. I bet you did. Speaking of, we brought up the famous tag Scott Taylor. Has he sent your car over yet?
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, mate. I haven't got a car, but I've been talking to Scott a lot, and he's just had a baby.
Oh, congratulations, Tag.
Yeah.
He has told me you did get a car, and it's his responsibility to send it over. I am hoping he swaps it.
Oh, mate, you know
what? It
would
be the greatest little FU.
Don't even put it in his head because you try and be funny.
It would be great if he just sent you some old second-hand.
Oh, mate, because it's full of stuff. It's got half my stuff in there because I couldn't really bring home like all my suitcase stuff. Like I got. Like,
so it's going in like one of those containers.
Yeah, and just.
Oh, mate, it would be so funny if he changed the car and put all your stuff in like some shit box.
Mate, he's one of the greats, mate. Mate just knows everything, everything in Hull. That first year when I was in Hull and I was my own man and didn't really, he knew everything. Every Saturday, went to Hull pub. Let's just say, I said, "Hey, do you know?" Tag knows everything. Oh, mate, like we even had like a crisis chat once, like Monday morning. Mate, hung as coming in Monday. I walk over, calls me over, get in the car. Mate, just pull me aside and goes, "Matt, what are you doing?" Like, I'm not going to say exactly what happened, but like,
but he's across it all.
Oh, but mate, he'll look after you. Like he got you till the cows are home, and that's honestly what I love about him. We had a really good relationship, mate. That's like I said, a friendship that I've made out of England. And it's quite a different one. You know, it's far away and whatever, but we still make effort. Loves NFL, so
yeah,
we chat constantly.
I like that, mate. That's one of those things that you go to play footy with people across the world, and you end up becoming like really good mates. And no matter what, you'll bump into Scott Taylor at some point in your future, and it'll just be exactly the same.
Yep. Exactly, mate. And he just like, at the end of it, because I was getting rid of all my stuff, and he was helping me. Like, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, like I'd give him like my outdoor setting, right? I said, "Mate, just take it, all goods." But then I'd go, "Tag, just can you with the car?" Hold on, like, come on, man. But no, he's a ledge, mate. He's got his testimonial this year.
Oh, he'll be hitting you off for all sorts of
I've already 7 jerseys.
Yeah.
Hull was Tigers.
Yeah. Can you get me a shine ginger?
Oh, man. I miss him talking about it.
He's an absolute champion, one of the good guys in rugby league. I toured with him a couple of times. He was just sublime. Like, entertainment, constant entertainment. And like you say, never a day off, knows everything.
Nah.
Be one of those guys that be waiting in the hotel foyer for you coming back in, into your haircut.
Straight away.
Yeah, Pat, where have you been? Where have you been? Bullshit, man.
Coming and going, would you hear about that?
Oh, brilliant. Josh, it's been an absolute pleasure to sit and talk with you, mate. I'm excited about what you can do next year and beyond, mate, and I'm hoping for similar scenes of you playing at Belmore, being carried off, taking it all in, pretending you didn't want to get lifted off. You know, oh no. Oh,
Harry Harris is like,
get him all out. No.
Do you know one thing that's going to be weird, mate? Before we finish, just not having the same roommate, and we didn't really go into any of those stories because
we didn't.
This is why I wanted to come on the show. I suppose everyone thinks, and because you were the captain of our club, and I was privileged enough to room with you. I just hope everyone knows the front that you used to put on in the media was definitely not the person you are, in a good way, in many good ways. Like I thought when you room with the captain, oh mate, gee, you're gone, but mate. We snuck through a few kitchens, mate, to get out, and that wasn't off my back.
Oh, mate, we both had rubber arms. They were good times, Josh.
Mate.
They were good times. Just that the rooming situation was like, I think you get elevated to captain. They were like, "Do you want your own room?" I'm like, "No." Like, why would I not want to share with Josh the Maltesers? And you used to buy so much crap the day before a game.
Who, me?
Yeah,
bad, mate. I'm really bad. But like mate, one of the things I used to love with Des and that. Remember when we'd lose, but we'd be in Auckland or whatever, and anyone want to go out, and I'd be like, hair down, but knowing in the back of my head, James had something up his sleeve, mate. James.
Yeah, mate. I think for me, like, there's a professionalism about rugby league, but I was a big scales tipper, like, and we both were, like, we tipped the scales, like, we'd win training we'd win the fitness on a Monday and Tuesday, but if we had an opportunity to have a beer, then we would. Like, I make no bones about that. I'd spend a lot of time away from alcohol as well, but
I think with you, mate, that's the thing, like you'd win the train on Monday, like carry on at the end to fall over the line. But then, Saturday night after the game when we weren't really meant to go out, jeans on, let's go. And I'd be like, sweet, push the elevator button down to the kitchen. And James had already organised with the chef. Sneak him out the back. It was the best thing I've ever seen. And then we're out in South Auckland.
How good.
Oh, I loved it, mate.
All good.
Awesome.
All right. Well, Josh, thank you so much for coming on. Like I say, mate, I'm excited for you next year. I really am. I know you're going to bring a lot of energy to that group. And, I think speaking to you, I hope the messages come across to the fans about the reason why as well. I can see that there's a burning desire within you to succeed, and you're certainly not going to die wondering. Fingers crossed for you that your body holds up, and I know you'll give it everything you've got. And I love that attitude of not dying wondering, mate. So good luck and congratulations.
Thanks for having me, brother.